What's up, all my fight fans out there? How is everybody doing this wonderful Tuesday evening? It's your girl, No Mercy here. It's Tuesday night, so you already know what time it is. It's time for No Punches Pulled with No Mercy. Some of you all may know who I am, but for those of you that are new here and don't know, my name is now Brooke No Brooke, formerly known as in the fight game, Brooke No Mercy Dierdorff. I am a retired professional boxer. I held the International Women's Boxing WBC lightweight title and was inducted into the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame last year, 2022. I've had quite the interesting journey in this game of women's boxing. Been through some good, some bad, and a lot of BS in the sport of boxing. So, welcome. This is my platform where we will talk the talk and walk the walk. We are trying to bring the truth to women's boxing. So on this podcast, we will be interviewing pioneers in the sport, fighters from the past, current fighters, future champions. Going to get a little bit of it all and hope that we can speak the truth and you guys can really see what it's like for females coming up in the sport of women's boxing, because it's definitely a good story and people need to know how it really is. So you don't want to miss the show today, that's for sure. Everybody make sure you like, subscribe, share it out, get your friends in, bring your family in. You probably noticed today's show. It is called Dallas Malloy, first time ever. Some of you may not know, but my girl Dallas Malloy, she made an iconic historical first for women's boxing after she filed a lawsuit against USA Boxing Organization in 1993 at the sweet tender age of just 16 years old, guys. On October 30th, 1993, she was the very first ever female to fight in a sanctioned amateur boxing match in Linwood, Washington. She was also successful that night, defeating Heather Poyner, making history for the second time. First time she defeated the U.S. District Judge Barbara Rothstein, winning the lawsuit, and was victorious that night, winning the very first ever sanctioned female boxing match. So without further ado, Eric, let's bring in Dallas.
Hey, Brooke.
Dallas,
hey,
what's
everybody.
going on?
Great to be here. Great to see you. Thank you for that intro.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you here.
Very
How
happy.
have you been? How are things?
Things are great. Busy as
Good.
always. Complex. That's my
Yep.
life. Always has been.
Always stuff going on, right?
Always. Always.
All right. Well, first, I guess we'll just start off with, how about you just start off back from the beginning and just tell us how did you find yourself involved in the sport of boxing? Like, what intrigued you? How'd you get into it?
Sure. Well, I had always first of all, I've always kind of gone my own way, and I never really cared about what was conventional. I'm just so interdirected. And I started weightlifting first, actually, when I was 14, and I fell in love with that. I saw Terminator 2. I was like, I need that chiseled body. That is amazing. And I just started lifting and never looked back. And I always loved that bodybuilding look. Then I had an uncle who taught me some martial arts here and there, and I just really love that too. I like being challenged. I think my mind is so restless and I just get bored easily, and so I'm always looking to be challenged. It's just my nature. I'm compelled. And so I was also already interested in acting, and I was already a musician. And so, as usual, just like my life now, it's complex, and I was already doing multiple things. And I was watching a classic movie, On the Waterfront, with Marlon Brando. Great film if you haven't seen it. And he was a former boxer, and it wasn't about boxing. It was about many other issues, and it was really an incredible film. But the point is that there was something about the idea of boxing that just struck me like, I need to do that. I like that. I like that challenge. And I started to pursue it. I looked for gyms around. I found one actually in my town, and it just fell into place. And I just fell in love with the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good. Did you have any problems finding a gym? I know, like, back then, a lot of the trainers didn't want to train women. Did you have troubles finding someone?
I did at first. It was kind of one of those synchronicity type experiences because I had trouble and I was looking around. I looked in Seattle. I found one in Seattle, but I was in Bellingham. That was not really practical. I was sort of just kind of trying to figure it out. And I ended up finding one in Bellingham. And it was all male, but still, I think the first time I went there, the coach, I know this because he said it later, that he did not think I'd back. But I was compelled, so I just kept coming back, and I, he saw I was serious, and so he trained me.
Yeah, that's usually the answer they always give is, well, I thought we would get them out like in the first session or two, they won't come back. We'll just play along and then they'll be gone. But no, most of us don't. We usually stick around, we'll stick it out, prove them wrong, right?
That's right. Always, yeah. It's so not about external things.
No, not at all.
It's just such yeah.
You always get that, well, you tell me I can't, then I'm definitely going to show you that I can attitude.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. If I'm compelled, once I've made a decision to do something, it's done.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's just a matter of time.
That's it. Even if I don't understand it,
right.
It's just the way it is,
Yeah. I understand that completely.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, 100%. So tell everybody about how the lawsuit kind of came into play, how you got involved with the ACLU, and then what was the process and what all had to take place to get that going to sue the USA Boxing.
Right. Well, I remember learning about the rule, looking at the rule book, saying to become a sanctioned amateur boxer, you have to go through these steps and get a license. And it said it literally said females shall not box.
Nice.
Isn't that nice? I know.
Yeah.
Lovely. It's like, no matter how lovely you choose to word it, it's still messed up.
Yeah.
So I just remember, I know I told my mom about it, and she was the one that told me about the ACLU. I didn't know anything about them. And so I was like, oh, okay. It was just such clear-cut discrimination to me. It was never a question of, well, what should I do? Should I quit? I mean, I can't even imagine thinking that way. It was like, I'm going to do this. I made a decision. I love it. I was already training. I don't know how early on I found that out, but it was pretty early on. But still, it was like, I love this. I loved it from day one. So this is wrong. Needs to change.
Yeah.
And so my mom mentioned the ACLU. So I just remember writing them a letter, and, it was like old school, write a letter, type it up, and they wrote me back, and we just kind of went back and forth. And then over days and weeks, they ended up deciding to take my case and file a discrimination lawsuit on my behalf. I don't really remember the details well of the timing because I was so focused on the training.
Yeah.
That was my
You're just like, let them do their thing. I'm going to do my thing and we'll see.
That's it. Yeah. And I don't like to use the excuse of, well, I was just a kid, because I was not a normal kid. But at the same time, I had my own worries about being a teenager and just dealing with that. And then here I was focused on boxing. So my plate was already full. But so it got started, got rolling. And then I remember then some publicity started. And, that first interview was kind of like, oh, wow, that was neat. But I'm still nothing's going to knock me off my game, because that's all that really mattered was the training. But I thought, okay, well, it's good. I'm going to go with it because it's going to just help the cause,
Right.
I didn't have a personal investment in it. But I do remember it was interesting because I learned about being misquoted. And, as a kid, like now it's so obvious. I mean, the media is evil. Not you, you're good. But, so it's just like mainstream. But I had a lot of lessons about that. Mm-hmm. And that was an interesting simultaneous experience with everything else going on.
Right.
Because here I am, I'm just doing the right thing.
Right.
How is it not the right thing?
Right.
But
there's always going to be doubters and people that are like, no, and then the haters coming in always.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's always that way, especially in the beginning. Whenever you're the first at something, or the pioneer in something, you get the hate, you get the criticism, you get the doubt. Just there's some people there. I think it's just their role in life to be trolls.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's their thing. But so I got some taste of that. But I went forward anyway and was just really focused in the training. And eventually, it did go to court. I do remember my, and my lawyer was really cool. She was great, Suzanne Thomas, and the opposition was. It was just so lame. They had nothing to say. I mean, they said some things that were just very, very weak. And the judge made a decision pretty quickly, as I recall, to temporarily lift the ban, just so we could, at least start the ball rolling. And then ultimately they had to set up a women's division. But, that took a little process, but that way I could get the fight scheduled. That took so long to get that scheduled, and in the meantime I'm training all the time, doing road work, doing all the work.
Well, I'm sure they really didn't have anything plausible to say other than, well, we don't think it's safe, or some lame excuse of
they tried to do
women that. We don't want to see women get hurt, or whatever they said, but there's no like evidence that says women can't do this, so they probably looked pretty stupid. I'm assuming they looked pretty stupid.
It really did. It's one of those situations you're almost embarrassed for them. Almost.
Almost. But yet not, because they did it to themselves. So.
They did it to themselves,
Exactly.
Of the last bastion of sports that was like untouched,
Exactly.
All this needs to get on board.
So, okay, moving forward, you get the temporary lift so that you guys can make the fight. How did you feel when you got that victory? Like, knowing that, I mean, like for me, looking back, I mean, that was like such a huge, very important impact on a game-changing event for all future women in boxing, to be the first one to open up sanctioning for women to compete. So like, how did you feel when you finally got that part accomplished and you were able to get the sanctioning going?
Right. It is always such a strange question, because my mind, I had gone through that fight in my mind so many times already. So when things actually happen in this realm, it's like already done for me. So in some ways, of course, the feeling of victory is like super powerful, but it's not the same as I think people imagine it to be from the outside.
I mean, me looking in, I would be like, I don't know, like I'd be so emotional, I think, because just knowing that I made, because it was so, like, at the time, maybe it didn't feel that way, but like us fighters coming after you, looking back, I mean, we would, who knows how many more years it would have went on before we were able to compete without somebody taking that stand. So that was like huge. That was like the first step for women, really getting, even sanctioning fights in the amateurs.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you saying that, and the thing is, don't get me wrong. I take that really seriously. Like it means so much to me. I think it's, in the moment, it was so surreal. And I remember saying and I'm just when I'm doing something like that, competing, I'm really stoic. I don't get emotional. That's not how I am in those moments.
Right.
It's not that it doesn't mean anything. I just get really like inside. Because it was so impactful. I knew there was a moment in the fight where, you know how sometimes you have those moments in your mind goes, like maybe you get a little fatigued or something, like it's a little dip in the laser focus. And in that split second, I just remember going, I'm not going to swear on your show, but it was like,
you can, this is the No Mercy show. You can say whatever you want.
Oh, sweet.
There is no beeps here.
Oh, that's awesome. Cause that's like my one last vice, by the way. That's it.
You can say whatever you like.
I was like, fuck that. I didn't come this far to lose.
Right.
And it was just in a split second, like, I cannot lose this. I cannot. After everything. you know, and of course I wanted a total knockout and that didn't happen. And I mean, she did get a standing 8 count in the second round, but you know, in your mind, it's like, I'm a perfectionist and I always want up here, here, here. So I'm always looking up, like it was good, but you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Which is a blessing and a burden because it drives you, but then it also means I'm never content.
Yeah.
And I've gotten better at managing that because I've had to, for the sake of sanity, you know?
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But anyway,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at that point too, I would probably say that was more so not so that you weren't prepared, but just the emotion of like the whole aspect of it all is kind of emotionally draining on your body.
That's it. Yes.
You know,
And
it
I
was your
was so
first fight. It was your
Yeah.
the first sanctioning. You were the first one,
Yeah.
plus your first match. Like
Yeah.
there was a whole lot of firsts going on there. So that was, and then everybody coming there and the crowd was going crazy.
Oh,
So I'm
and
sure
it
it was
was
just
so
a whole
loud.
whirlwind of emotion, which
It
probably
was.
drained you a little.
Maybe. That's interesting. I mean, I felt
I mean, that's
really,
not what I would think.
yeah. I was really, really keyed up. And you know how time is such a bizarre thing and it goes so fast and yet slow. It's very weird. It doesn't, it's not like really any other moment. But the audience, you know, that auditorium, I think there was about 1,400 people. I mean, but it usually only had a couple hundred. So it was really loud, and and so I was just so focused, and I was so keyed up. You know, like I think it was just a matter of trying to keep that focus. And I remember too, at in between rounds, my coach was giving me some words. Right, I don't remember anything he said, but I remember just going, "Am I winning?" And he goes, "Yeah, you're winning. You're winning."
I think that's so funny because I think that literally every single one of us asked that in every single fight about halfway through.
It's the only
Okay, I got you, coach, but like, am I winning? Am I up? Or like, be honest. Tell me the truth now. Like, how am I doing?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Because I mean, my husband was my trainer for the whole end of my career.
Nice.
And I think every single fight, probably about halfway through, I'm always like, but am I winning though?
Yeah.
Because he would tell me the truth. I mean, not all coaches will, but I prefer honesty. Like, don't sugarcoat it. Like, tell me if I'm getting my ass whooped because I need to know what's happening.
Right.
Do I need to pick it up or am I good? Are we coasting? Like, what's happening? Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Eric, my lovely assistant, Dallas was generous enough to give me her personal footage from the fight night. So, Eric, why don't you run that so everybody can take a look at the first match?
There's my lawyer, Suzanne Thomas. I got the first hit. I got the first hit in.
28, yep.
I was like, got to get the first hit in. Oh, man. It's so hard to watch.
Have you watched this in a while? You probably haven't watched this in forever.
Not really, no.
Yeah.
It's because it's so, it just makes me keep my chin down. Like, you know, like, I was such a puncher. Oh, God, I love being inside. Oh. It's amazing too. I always think how much conditioning I did, and still I'm like, come on, pick it up.
Yeah. Like, let's go. I'm not tired. There's no way.
I know. But I think that's part of it, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
He called me the relentless Dallas Malloy. That was really
cool. I was
cool.
gonna ask you, what was your ring name? Because I knew you had one. It's just I couldn't find it.
Yeah, that was, he coined that in that moment, and it was actually perfect for me because that sums up my personality. Relentless.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely had some mean left hooks and some uppercuts.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love
those
the
are not.
uppercut.
Those are some of the not so. Not everybody can master those, especially the
Yeah.
uppercuts. But you
Yeah.
definitely were throwing some good uppercuts. I could say that for sure.
Thank you.
So I mean, we all do it. I don't know. I mean, you probably did, but I know I rated myself after every single fight. So
Mm.
how did you rate the fight? Like, how do you feel you did? Obviously, you said you felt a little like maybe you shouldn't have been tired and you could have did more. And you
Yeah.
wanted the KO, but we all want the
Yeah.
KOs, right?
Always,
Yeah.
and in a way, Brooke, though, it's almost like that would have been too perfect. It's like too much. It's like, look,
Yeah.
I I'm glad that she was tough.
Yes.
She's been trained in martial arts and
She
boxing.
made it a good fight, like
She
and
did, absolutely.
entertaining. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It was a good match. It was a
Yeah.
good match. And so I'm glad it would be, yeah, it just would have been too I'm glad how it went down. But yeah, I think the conditioning, even though you always look like, God, how can I be fatigued? But I think part of that was the being so keyed up that you just burn it up. I would have been a little more deliberate with my moves. Cause like I said, I really was a puncher, even though amateur style is so much more like, my coach would always tell me, get in and get out, get in and get out. And I'm like, I don't care if I'm getting hit. I'm going to get in the inside and just wallop with these lefts,
That's me.
But yeah, yeah. It's fun.
That's my style. I'm not a boxer whatsoever. I'm 100% brawler.
Yeah.
Every day, all day. Like
I love it. I love it.
I'm
think
not
it's
doing
also,
we're not doing the skipping around the ring. Let's go. Like this is a battle. Let's do it.
And and don't get me wrong, I love the footwork. I love the dance of it, that part of it, and the angles and coming in and coming out and just timing it right. But it's like I like to get down to business. I did like that. And maybe it's also partly just having a background with weight training where I was thick, I was thick and I was tough.
Yeah.
I could take a punch, especially after my nose got flexible,
Yeah, mine never got flexible, girl. Mine's been broken like I don't know how many times.
It's so funny. Yeah, I
have a big bridge, so
I
think I broke it in almost every fight because if you get hit straight once, it's broke. Like it don't even have to be hard because it's just all bone. So I wasn't lucky there. I contemplated having the surgery. I don't know how many times, but my doctor's like, I'm not doing the surgery until you retire because it's pointless.
Oh my God. Right.
And then when I'm done, I didn't even care about having the surgery. Now, what's the point?
Yeah.
It's just a little crooked, whatever. It gives me character.
It is so cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Don't
People always are like, what happened? Oh, I just broke my nose a handful of times. No worries. We're good.
I like it.
Yeah.
I it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's Battle Wars. That's what it is.
Yeah.
We got scars.
I have to say one thing whenever I see that fight, that stupid chest protector that they made me wear, that thing was so awful. It messed me up so bad because it was so hard and shaped too big. I never could get the right one. It was the stupidest, sorry company. I don't know who you are. It's the stupidest design. It was awful. And they required it. And it you know how you have to keep your elbows in. I was like this.
You couldn't because it was, I could never wear the full body ones because they, like you, it never fit right. And I felt like it always poked me in the side or it was poking my arms and I couldn't get my arms down.
Yeah.
So later because they still make you wear them today. Man, just so you know, I mean, like we still have to wear them. So at least they finally came up with these little like round ones, just like one for each side that you just stick in your bra, which worked wonders. Yeah. Except for when, you're in the inside and you're working and you're doing all this and that, and then it pops out. Because I had that happen in a fight and I was totally embarrassed. Oh. Because it came flying out. And then when I went back and watched, the commentators are like, something flew out, but I don't think it was a mouthpiece. And then the ref goes and picks it up and gives it to my coach to stick it back in. Oh my. And I'm like, and this was a televised fight. And I'm just like, this is so embarrassing. Like, I'm so embarrassed right now. So they made him, they had to put it back in before we could even continue the fight. So now they're pulling my bra open to stick this thing back in. And I'm like, you guys are totally embarrassing me. Like, I don't need it anyway. Just take it out. Like, yeah. So it's not, that's the downside of the other ones. They're more comfortable, but they're not very secure in there because, your they're holding, or you're inside and you're working
Right.
and your arms are rubbing up again, and then it's
Yeah.
it's a pain in the ass is what it is.
You know, I think I remember someone sent me those. Someone sent me some. It might have been a different brand. Whoops. Oh, okay, there we go. I think it was called like tortoise shells, and I thought that was so cute. But it was like after the fight, and then I was I was a kid. I was like, and I'm gonna use that excuse now. My head was so scrambled at that point. I never used them. And I was like, oh man, I wish I'd had those before, you know, but like you said, there's no perfect.
Yeah, they
I wish
might
they
be like the turtle shells. It was just two separate ones that went in. So
yeah,
I mean, it was much more comfortable, but except for the
oh,
fact that they could come out. We found that out.
that's the only problem. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, they make you wear them, so you don't really have a choice. Pick one or the other.
Right.
At
Right.
that point.
Yeah.
My lovely assistant, Dallas, also gave us some shots. Let's take a look at some of the pictures. Okay, so I guess you can, I mean, everybody can read on my show, I'm assuming. So this was basically like the fight poster, announcing, like the fight announcement poster, correct?
That's right. Yeah. First time ever. I love how it says sanctioned ladies boxing.
Sanctioned ladies boxing. We got to be ladies, not girls or women or
right.
Ladies, but we weren't acting like ladies. You weren't acting like ladies.
That's right. I think that's why I always thought it was funny. I'm just like, all right.
Because they had to make it proper. Like, we got to make this proper somehow. So we're going to say the ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Eric, go to the next one. Okay. So I love that you came in with the flag, and you definitely look so focused here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was your thought? I mean, did you automatically, when you were getting ready, like automatically, like, I'm going to wear the flag in, or was that like, how did you come up with that?
Yeah, I thought of that before that was planned. I was absolutely like, this is why I can do this, because of this country, you know?
Yeah.
I'm exercising my freedom, you know, to stand up and say this is wrong. And I have, you know, there are efforts I can make to change this.
Exactly.
And make it right. And I did, and it came together, and God bless America.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Eric, go to the next one. You look like you're ready to shoot to kill here.
Yeah, I was focused.
Were you looking at her?
Yeah, I think so.
Giving her the stare down.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
Absolutely. I was so keyed up, man. Even when we touched gloves, I think I touched gloves.
You know?
I touched them, and then I brought them back up out of habit, and she just kind of stood there like, and then walked away.
And you guys had never met before, right? Was she
right? Never met. No. Didn't know her.
Yeah. Never met.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was keyed up. I wasn't trying to be bad. I was just like, boom, and I wasn't.
I mean, the adrenaline rush. First of all, she should have been the same way. She should have. I mean, there should have been so much adrenaline in this fight.
Oh.
And the lead up to the fight and everything, and then getting it to happen. I can only imagine. I know how much adrenaline I have before fights. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
That how much adrenaline there. So she should have been the same way. She should have been like, let's go.
Yeah.
Bring it on. Like, I'm gonna whoop your ass. That's the look we got here.
Yeah. It was.
I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Go to the next one, Nick. Oh, Nick, you got it pixelated. What happened? So this is just an action shot. Obviously, you're in the blue. She's in the black. Nick, go to the next one. This one here I really liked because you just threw an uppercut, and you're getting ready to throw the left hook.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. My favorite, I don't know why, but always when I was on the inside, it was notorious. Nobody, I don't think, ever really knew that, but that was like my signature move, was the right uppercut, left hook on the inside.
Yeah, the same
Anytime I got in this inside, it was like that sneaky uppercut that they didn't see coming with the left hook. So I actually love this shot. I already knew exactly what you did when I saw the photo. I was like, she just landed the right uppercut and the left hook is coming.
Oh
So
man, you knew it. You're
like
like 634.
Yeah, that was like the perfect still shot ever right there. I love that shot.
Thank you. Thank you. God, you totally get it.
Yeah. I don't know how they got that at the perfect timing, but that was just like
I know
spot on.
they did. Yeah.
Go to the next one, Eric. So tell us how you're feeling here. Like, I want to know the emotions. How are you feeling?
Oh, man. He just said the relentless Dallas Malloy.
Yeah.
It was like a sense of completion. I guess that would be, and I know that's not a sexy emotional answer. It's just my mind is so, I was like, job well done.
Yeah.
Like, got it done.
Pat yourself on the back. Like, we did this. We did it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That was a very good photo too. I mean, it was just right on time. The flowers and everything, that was epic. Is the only word I could come up with for that one.
Thank you.
Historic.
Thank you.
Go to the next one, Eric. I think it's the same. Yeah, same one, only
a
little bit farther back. But I like this one too, because you can't really see the whole photo, but you can see her disappointment. I have a photo very, very similar to this from one of my fights that was like, there was a lot of bad blood between the two of us. And I can remember when I won that fight, she was undefeated and I took her O, and it was in her hometown. So it was like winning. I was a decision, but I won the decision in her hometown, and she was 17-0. So I can remember, and she looked almost exactly like this when they read the decision, because when they raised my hand and her expression. So I kind of like this because you can see like her dismay and her disappointment in that photo.
Oh man.
I mean,
I'm
sorry for her. I mean, I guess I'm not sorry, but I am,
It's, that's the old
fighting. Did she keep fighting after that? Do you know?
I honestly don't know. I do not know. Yeah. I mean, it's the old saying, the thrill of victory and agony of defeat.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no other.
It happens to the best of us. I can tell you that. I think we've all been there at some point in time.
Absolutely, man.
What else you got, Eric? Okay, so here the trophy. Is that the trophy you won?
Yeah, that's my trophy right there. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then in the photo, who's in the photo?
Marlon Brando. That's a beautiful picture that from On the Waterfront, that my writer, producer who bought my story, I'm sorry, she was Paramount bought my story, and she wrote the screenplay. They later shelved it, which is actually a good thing, and that's another story which I can go into in hindsight. But she was there, and she brought me that.
Awesome. Yeah. And this the interview post fight?
Yes, that's right.
Interviewing you.
Yeah.
All the media and everybody.
Yeah, it was quite the scene, man.
Awesome.
It really was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal to me, and I'm so honored to have you on, because that was like one of the biggest moments for females right there. Eric, what else we got? So here, this is obviously later on.
Yeah, so that's a later shot.
Yeah, definitely later on. Was this before or after the bodybuilding?
That was during. I look pretty soft, so that must have been off season.
But I don't think you look soft.
Well, I'm not ripped for a show. I'll put it that way.
Right. You weren't like in season right at the moment. No. Yeah, a little downtime. Little downtime.
Yeah.
Got you.
Some shots for acting work, because I did a lot.
Exactly. Eric, what else? Okay, so here we get into the bodybuilding photos.
Yeah.
Was this the California State Championship?
No, that was later. This one was Tournament of Champions.
Tournament Champions, okay.
Yeah, won that one in the overall.
Yeah, I can't imagine the amount of work that you put into that.
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, I would like to think that I was somewhat a little ripped. I mean, not compared to this, but a little bit ripped when I was competing.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I not like that. The like actually thinking about it, the only person I can even think that remotely compares to this that's act like a fighter
Yeah.
is Chevelle Hallbeck
Mm,
because she's ripped. She's got like the
right.
6-pack, 8-pack ribs with the
Yeah,
big muscles, and
yeah,
that's the only one I can even think of off the top of my head that would even
yeah,
kind of resemble that body right there
yeah.
for a boxer.
It's right, right. Well, and it's completely a different goal. So like I was so weak there. That's the irony of bodybuilding. It's a total paradox. The day you look your best, you feel your worst
Right,
because
because
of
you're
the dieting.
dehydration and the
Yes,
diet and
yes,
you
yes.
detoxing your entire body.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's as much, I tell people, it really is as much sport as it is art. It's half and half because the goal is to be like a living statue. And I love the artistic part of it. I love the choreography. We do these routines to music, and the posing, which is extremely hard because it it's a show because you make it look like it's not hard because your face is relaxed, but you're
Right.
flexing everything continuously. It's isometric, so it's just unbelievably hard. And then on that day, you're dehydrated, been dieting for months. It's crazy. So but again, I love that challenge.
Yeah.
I love
It
it, but
takes a special kind of mindset to be able to do something like that.
absolutely, yeah.
I can
It's
tell you
it's
that when I was competing, I was one of those that I'm like, I'm fighting at what I'm walking around at, period.
yeah,
I'm not losing 20, 30 pounds to go down
yeah,
in weight
yeah.
because I'm not starving myself.
No, nor should you. That's so
I did it one
yes.
time. I thought 4 pounds would be super easy. I was fighting at 126 and
Oh
they wanted
wow.
me to do a title fight at 122. And I'm like, it's 4 pounds, sure. I didn't
Oh,
have 4 pounds. So that was
wow.
like, I was already like, not that ripped, but like, there
Oh
wasn't
man.
anything to come off really. So literally,
Right.
I just dehydrated myself. So then, when come fight night, I was drained.
Oh,
So yeah,
oh
that was.
man.
I would never ever do that ever again.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
time, one and done. That was a one and done for me. I was like, yep, nope. I'll go up in weight, but I'm not going down.
Right, right.
126 and up. That's it.
Yeah.
No more, no more going down.
Oh man.
Uh,
Yeah. Wow. I
I think
believe
we
it.
got another bodybuilding pose. What do you got, Eric? This is the
Okay.
poses.
Yeah. That one's from, I think, and there might be another one. They're from that one was the Cal State, I think, in 2012. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Eric, go to what's the next one? Yeah, that one.
Yeah. I love that pose. That's Bev Francis. She's a bodybuilder from the 80s.
Yeah.
I remember finding the old pumping iron 2, the women. Not everybody knows about
Okay.
that one. I think I saw that in high school. They showed it. Just to be clear, it wasn't the 80s when I was in high school. But anyway, it was old then, just saying. But they showed it and I was like, oh man, I love this. She was so cool. She was, she'd been a power lifter at like 180 pounds, cut down to about 140 for this certain show that they covered in that documentary. And she's from Australia. She was cool, but she
Yeah.
she did that beautiful pose. Just
Yeah,
and so
I mean, that's a phenomenal pose.
I love
It
it.
looks kind of tricky
It is to get it just
to
right,
get to that
and
angle. Like, I
that's
mean,
right.
people looking at it, oh, she's just turned sideways. But like me being
Oh,
an athlete, I can see that
oh,
there's a lot more involved in that than just a turning to the, turning sideways pose. There's a whole lot going on there.
everything is flexed from your toes to your neck.
Yeah.
It's like that calf, that ham, that glute, those abs.
Like
Yeah,
everything has to be tight.
that's right.
Yeah, that's
Continuously.
tough.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I mean that like it's amazing, the process. And I learned a lot from doing shows and then looking at the pictures because I'd
Yeah.
look and I'd be like, man, we don't realize how you breathe and it flattens your abs. You're like, nope, bring it in the whole
Yeah.
time. Little breath, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
crazy.
Like the breathe, like in boxing, the breathing, like to
Yeah,
breathe,
the breathing, right?
everything
Essential.
takes
Yeah,
breathing.
that's right.
You got to have a certain rhythm with the breaths to make it work just right.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean,
Yeah.
you look beautiful. I mean, that's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think the rest are, Eric, go. I think the rest are, let me see. What's next? Oh, Eric. Next photo, please. Thank you. Was this like a photo shoot or just like was it?
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
photo shoot, like a headshot, and then I put the flag behind me because I'm a good patriot.
And this is recent.
That one's recent, yeah.
Okay.
See, I can do it now.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, this is recent.
Yeah.
I like the backdrop though. I love the backdrop. I'm all
Thank
about
you.
the
Me
flags in
too.
America. I'm a veteran and then the boxer and all
Oh.
that. So I'm all about America.
Oh man. Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Eric, what's next? Another photo shoot?
Yeah, another headshot.
I
Believe
love
it or
photo
not,
shoots.
I took that one myself. I
Really?
did. Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
tell. Did you have, was it of like a professional camera?
No, it was my, do I have it here?
Your phone?
My little iPhone.
Really?
I swear to God. And this very light that's not doing a great job right now because I have it positioned wrong, but that's my fault anyway. But yeah.
That's phenomenal for a self-portrait.
Thank you. Well,
Like the lighting and everything. I would have never guessed that came from a phone.
It's amazing how good the photos are. But I think after, I've done so many headshots and so many shoots and it's like, you look at them after and you're like, why didn't the photographer tell me I had that hair right there that I can't edit because it's impossible. And you just kind of learn how to do it. And that moment. And of course I took a bunch,
Well, to get
but
the
it's
one,
like, yeah,
right?
you kind of learn. And as long, and I was like, let me just try it and see if the quality is good enough. So yeah,
I would have never ever guessed that. It's almost better than the last photo.
I know. And that last photo was a good camera, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I know. It's after this experience, I thought I am never going to pay for headshots again. Sorry, photographers. Sorry. Because I know what I need. Why? Yeah. Why? Yeah.
Like so there, and then the time that it takes to be in, like, why?
That's it.
Like, I don't have that kind of time. We're busy.
And that's it. And getting headshots. It's so you're always rushing because you're on someone else's time, which I always respect because my time's precious to me. But it's like, if I'm doing it myself, I'm not stressed out and I know exactly what I need. I'll take it. If it's not right, I'll make the little change and then I'll get exactly what I need. No one else is going to take that time. And I get that. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, time is precious and time is money.
It is.
I mean, that saying is very true.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
Eric, what's next?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. So I think if I remember, you're a big advocate for animals too, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I've done a lot of volunteering and working with animals and I love them so much. I think I love them more than life itself, the many lessons I've gotten from that's my boy Domo. And that's another selfie, by the way. Yes, it is.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. And then I added the fun background, but he loves the camera.
I mean, he's looking right at it. Like he's like, I'm ready, cheese, mom.
I know. I've done so many shoots where he's walked through and I love it. I leave it. That's my signature.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Because I laugh, as most as recently, for Christmas, we went up to do, in our subdivision, they had like a Santa there, mm-hmm. And you would be surprised the amount of older people in our subdivision that went up, that don't have little kids anymore, but they went up to see Santa for a pet photo with Santa, like them with their pets, right?
Yeah.
And I'm cracking up because, you're watching them and they're trying to get the dog or the whatever, just right for the photo. And some of them were pretty, accommodating. And then you got the ones that really don't want to sit there and they're like, I don't know who this is. They just want to smell them. And the mom and dads are like trying to get them just perfect. And I'm just like, I'm kind of laughing. Maybe okay. I'm doing an interview, honey. Did I just say that earlier?
Yeah, you warned me. That's okay. I like it. It's
Sorry.
real. You're a real person with a life. It's wonderful.
Yeah. It's not my baby because he's downstairs with my husband, but it's my 10-year-old daughter. She
Oh,
came to
okay.
tell me, she came to let me know she was taking a bath. Okay, so everybody
There we
knows
go.
now.
That's important. Good for her. Keep it up. Good habit. Keep that habit.
Yeah. So where were we? Yes, but I was cracking
Yeah.
up about
Yeah.
just how positioned they want to, and some of them were not very cooperative, but yours look like they love it.
Yeah, I swear I never force it. The domo is so funny. He almost without exception, when I set up the lights and something to shoot an audition or whatever, he will kind of, usually he'll start to come around and I'll just be like, hey buddy, can I just pick you up? Pick him up, get a shot, done. And I never force it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm assuming there was nobody else over there that he was looking at. He was just looking at. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
He's
Nobody
like, oh,
shaking the little
no,
toy.
yeah. Didn't even have
like
to.
we do with the babies.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
oh, here, look at this. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that our last one, Eric, or is there one more? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, last one. Thank you, my lovely Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Amazing photos. I mean, I'm so happy that you have all the way back with the video to the photos, like memories, because I know so many fellow fighters that I've spoken to. I made it a point at every single show or fight card that I was on to, if I couldn't set up a camera, to make sure that somebody, even if I didn't know anybody there, I would ask a random, here's my camcorder, like, can you record it for me? Like, I really didn't care about photos because I knew there would be photos out in public.
Right.
But video, and I just, as a matter of fact, the other day, and I was like, well, girl, don't you have any of your fight footage? And she's like, no, none. And I said, what do you mean? You've been in like 40, 50 fights. How do you not have any tapes of your fights? Well, I always, the promoters always tell you that they'll give you a copy, which they do. They always say that somebody's recording the show, will give you a copy when the show, like, we'll send you a copy.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, out of all my fights, I literally had one send me the fight. So I was like, yeah, you should have learned your lesson after the first 5 fights that they weren't going to send you the copies. Like, so I made sure I always had somebody record mine. Now, they might not be the best quality, but at least I can go back and kind of have something to look at.
That's it. And
a lot of mine, especially from like the amateurs, in my early career, they were on the VHS tapes.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
So I laugh, and my husband kept asking me like what I wanted for Christmas this year, and I'm like, which I haven't done it yet, but I'm like, I want to take all my VHS tapes and all my whatever you call these other tapes from back then, and I want them converted either to a disk drive or memory, or on even a DVD or something, so that way I can watch them all, because who owns VCRs anymore? And as a matter of fact, I was thinking about that the other day, because I kept one.
Me too.
We just moved like in July, and I'm like, my husband was throwing out like all kinds of stuff because we were moving, right? And we don't need this. We haven't used it in 10 years. We're not gonna, like, we're getting rid of it. And I forgot to ask him the other day. It kind of popped in my brain when I was thinking about the footage, your footage actually, and I was like, I need to ask him if he kept that VCR tape, because otherwise I can't watch my fights. And I never did ask him. So I'm like, he better have kept my VCR, because I don't know if you can buy them anymore. I still can get the tapes converted either way, but still, I'm just saying.
I think you can still find one. I got one. That's the same reason I keep it, because of just, I have old tapes, just all kinds of different tapes. And so I'm just like, I'm going to hang on to it. But I think you can buy them. I don't know.
Maybe, I mean, I'm sure maybe Amazon. I'm sure. I never really looked it up, but I'm just like, I mean, you can get it somewhere on the internet, I'm sure. But yeah, I really want to convert those old ones over. But I was just kind of like, girl, shame on you. Like, how did you not have somebody, like, I could have never went a whole career, amateurs and pros and everything, and not have any footage. Like,
no, that
would be, I would be so devastated if I had nothing to, like, look back on, or to pass on to my kids,
Oh yeah.
It's history. Like, come on now.
Yes. All that
Gotta have
work.
something.
Yeah.
Gotta have something to remember it by other than just word of mouth, because when
Yeah.
we're gone, then what?
Then what? Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I guess they can still Google. I mean, they can still Google, but you're not going
Yeah.
to get videos and
Right.
stuff like that,
Yeah. No, I'm
typically,
with
I
you.
guess.
Yeah.
So I guess my one big question about the whole boxing career thing for you was,
Yeah.
I'm just so curious as to, you did something so big and so epic and iconic for women, like with the lawsuit and then being the first ever to have the sanctioned fight. Why did you stop boxing there? Why didn't you continue your career? Like, I need to know.
All
The
right.
world needs to know.
Yeah. Well, a very small part of the world already knows, but I'm happy to share it with the rest. It kind of goes back. I'll tie it back into the Paramount story. I am glad they didn't make the movie of it because the timing was all wrong. And that's a story I need to tell. And I am in the process of writing that. But as I said, I go to extremes. And when it's good, it's really good. And when it's
Yeah.
bad, it's really bad. And so I was right to go right into addiction. And I went right into alcoholism and drug addiction. I lost the love of my life. I lost my parents split up. And I'm not saying that's because of my using. It all kind of happened within a year, I would say.
Okay. Like right after the boxing part of it, like
Yeah,
all of that. Okay.
yeah. And because I'd already, people who understand alcoholism, and it's like it was triggered before, and because of my focus with the fight and these and the music, these things kept it at bay. But there was like a timer, and it was going to go off, and it went off. And so then when the right set of circumstances played out, I just went all in. And I think it's one of those things that it's devastation. It's total devastation. And it rips your life apart. And at the time, it seems like, oh, it's fine. And, I'm glad I did what I did. But you don't realize that everything is being taken away from you.
Right.
You kind of rationalize it, and there's some denial about it. And it's like, it's okay. I'm going to do other things, all these. I was already battling inner demons. I mean, even when I look at those pictures, like there's a duality going on. And I think that's part of the human experience. But I think for some people like me, and you probably relate to this because most athletes are not, we're outliers. We're not
right.
middle of the road really on anything.
Right.
So, on the one side, I'm doing this thing that's going to help women. I'm doing it for my own purposes, but I'm grateful to be the one, it's all in the right perspective. I'm not doing it for publicity. I'm not doing it for all this stuff. That's just part of it. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. But I got my eye on the prize, and all of this focus went on to that prize and then that goal. And then I think when that happened, everything that I'd been kind of managing just devoured me.
Yeah.
And I was in a really toxic relationship that was chipping away at my soul.
Yeah.
And I think the combination of that and the alcohol that just went from like 0 to 100 overnight.
Okay.
It just took it smooth away. And of course it went bad to worse until I got sober, thank God.
Yeah.
Years later.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to mention that later on, but I wanted to definitely congratulate you. I think it was you've been sober since 1997, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, it must have been a short time frame, and you got your head back on straight and got things back on the right track, because the fight was in 93. So
right.
Just a few year lull there before you kind of started getting your best self back together.
That's right. And and I had before, dabbled a bit in some drugs and alcohol, but it was the sports and that music that kind of was like keeping it at bay. So it was on a tight leash, and I stayed off of it. And then it was just like after the fight, and those certain set of circumstances just kind of all came crashing down, that it took off. And I think that's the thing too. And it only has to take, especially with other drugs too, it sped up the process. And that's actually really typical, especially with females. They tend to progress quickly. It only takes, you can be, I mean, I was a blackout drinker from the start, and some people drink for 20 years until that happens usually, but women are just the way they metabolize alcohol. It's usually faster. And that was just the way it was for me, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it took.
Well, I mean, I definitely congratulate you. I know that's a tough road for anybody to go through. But you overcame it once again.
Yeah.
And you came out on top, and you've done phenomenal since then, and kept things going. So, you know, congratulations on your sobriety. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So I guess let's see. Okay, guys. So she also, everybody knows, we just had the one fight. You know, we went into a little lull, and then we came back out on the other side of the rainbow there. Analogy, we'll just throw that in there. But for everybody out there watching, Dallas has so many other talents aside from boxing. I don't know if anybody, are you familiar with it? But after boxing and after all of this, well, I think it was probably right after boxing, you got into acting. You were in Jerry Maguire.
Right.
That was right after the fight though, right? Because it was with the fight scene, or not too long after?
It was, yes, it was. Well, hold on. It was a little after that, because it wasn't right after. When did they shoot that? Maybe it might have been a year and a half after, something like that.
Okay.
Roughly. Yeah.
But, So how was it working with Tom Cruise? I mean, I know everybody wants to know that.
He was the best. He was so down to earth. As soon as I got on set, Cameron Crowe too. As soon as I got on set, Cameron Crowe came up to me, and he didn't have to do this. This is so nice, you guys. This is not typical, I would say, of every director. Okay. He came up and he was like, "Oh, here, come meet Tom Cruise because he's about to leave." And I was like, "Oh, that was nice. Didn't have to do that." So I met Tom, and he was standing right in front of me with the t-shirt and jeans. He's eating a fudgesicle. And he was like, "Oh, so you box? So you did that. That's really cool. Wow." He was asking me, I don't know what the hell I said, but he said words that sounded nice. And I was just super impressed with him, because he was like impressed with what I did.
Yeah. Like, he took the time to speak to you, and he actually like genuinely was like, that's awesome. Like,
he's interested in
so many actors, so many people that have met so many famous people say that they're not very nice, or I guess and to a certain extent I can see that, because they're always harassed, and people always they can't go anywhere without people trying to talk to them or take photos or paparazzi. Sure. I mean, so I can't. I can understand that. I did experience it briefly. So obviously everybody knows female boxers aren't really like famous like the men. So typically, even during the peak of my career, when I had the title and all of that, I still could walk around and nobody knew who I was. So, I mean, very few, I can't say nobody knew who I was. Everybody local in my little town, of course, knew who I was. But once you venture out of your little bubble, most people didn't know who I was. Granted, every now and then you'd have that one like diehard fan be like, "Oh my God, are you so-and-so?" But it didn't happen very often. The one time that I felt like what actors and famous people feel was when I went to Mexico for the rematch with Mia St. John for the WBC title. Yeah. We were there like at least a week prior to the fight, because we had to do all the public workouts. Like, it was huge. Like, boxing in Mexico is like on another whole nother scale. Oh yeah. Like, it's like huge over there. Like, everybody knows boxing over there. Yeah. So I can just remember like the first time, because we had to do the public workout and the pre-fight press conference, and then we had to do a weigh-in check publicly, and like all this stuff we had to do leading up to the fight. So I was there like at least a week before the fight, And I can just remember the very first time I left my hotel room to go get something to eat, and I wanted to like walk around. They had this like little shopping area, and we left out, and like I was swarmed. Like as soon as I stepped out of the hotel, and I was like, Jesus Lord, like I just want to go get some food. Like, what is happening? But I mean, and when we were in the restaurant trying to eat, I had people coming up to me like, hey, can I get a photo? Like, can I get an autograph? Like, blah, 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 blah. You're fighting next week. And I'm just like, bro, let's just go back to the room. Because this, like, I can't even, like, I don't even want to go shopping now. Like, can we just go back to the hotel? Because I need a breather. Yeah. And it was like that all week. Wow. Good night, baby. I love you too.
It's sweet. Yeah. It's such a strange thing though.
But yeah, I was like, and for a week straight. I mean, now looking back on it, I mean, I'm so grateful that for once in my career, I felt like people knew who I was.
Right.
Because the men on the boxing side, the men are very well known everywhere they go. So they feel that all the time. But I felt kind of honored, and it was so, looking back now, I mean, it was annoying when I was there. I was like, God, I'm just trying to go work out. Like, can I just go down, get some coffee? Like, come on, leave me alone. So I get how they feel with all of that, and kind of wanting to be left alone sometimes, because you need a breather, or if you're with family or whatever. Sure. But looking back at it now, I definitely felt privileged then, because I actually got to feel like what they all feel for the first time in my, I don't know how many friggin' year career. Like, like, oh my God, like everybody here knows me. And I wasn't even from Mexico. I was the opponent being brought in, and people knew who I was. So I'm just like, it was surreal. It was a surreal feeling. So yeah, very different. But that's so cool that he was down to earth enough to even give you the time of day, because I know there are some that won't.
Oh yeah, you're so right. And of course, context matters. I was there to work. I was on set, so it was a professional situation, and I totally get like how annoying the taste I've had of fame here and there, where you can't just have the simple privilege of privacy. Right. Is a weird thing. So I can totally understand people getting frustrated, but yeah, it was really special. And I've worked in Hollywood a lot since then. I mean, that was an unusual kind of, because I was portraying myself, but I've done a lot of acting work, and I've been treated so badly by such smaller than him.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting,
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I know you've been in a lot of other stuff. Yeah. Is there any, like, what was your favorite, like, movie that you were in, or show you were on, or favorite people you worked with? Probably him, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a unique situation, and that movie was so special, and Cameron Crowe was.
That was like my favorite movie, and it's funny because when I read that you were in it, you know how many times I've watched that movie?
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know if I never saw the very beginning of the movie. Like, if I always came in it like in the middle, because I always used to come into the part, I'd always walk in the room when it was on the part, like, show me the money. And I'm just
yeah.
And then I watch it through, I don't know that I've ever watched it from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Until I was like, when I was like looking up like your dates and stuff, like, because I wanted to have the specific dates and stuff. And I'm like,
it's at the very beginning.
Like, I don't remember seeing that in the movie.
Yeah.
And so I went and watched it, and I was like, I've never seen that part of the movie. Like, how did I miss that? Because you like probably, in the very, very beginning.
Very beginning, yeah. It's like the first minute and a half. Like, if you watch it from the very moment it starts, you can't miss it. But most people will be like, oh, okay, I'm going to watch this movie. All right, let me go get something to drink. Okay, here we go.
And then you've already, so I think that's why, because I think I had never, because I was like, hey, she said she was in Jerry Maguire. I'm like, you know how many times I've seen that movie? Like, I don't remember.
Yeah.
And so
he says my name and everything.
I've literally never seen that part of the movie. Like, what is wrong with me? I've never watched it from the beginning, apparently.
There you go.
But that's so cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. But it's good to know that he, with his stardom, that he is,
Yeah, absolutely.
genuinely a nice person, because a lot
Truly.
of them are not.
That's true. And I can't even like make this up, but when when we were shooting, he hung out. He hung out and he stayed on set. He didn't have to. He was done for the day. But Cameron Crowe, he came up. I remember because I was up in that ring, just like it looks. I'm up in a ring, and he comes over and he's like, it's really cool that he stuck around. He usually leaves when he's done.
Oh,
He even commented on it. I was like, God, I'm so impressed.
yeah. Just makes you feel special. Like you matter. Like
that's
somebody at that magnitude. Like
that's right. That's right.
Is giving me attention and like time. Really. They're giving me their time, which is literally the most priceless thing you can give to someone is some of your time.
Yeah.
Especially
and being
when
outside of yourself enough to be interested in what someone else did instead of just me all the time. Me,
it's all me. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's awesome, because I kind of always wondered about the big ones, like the really famous actors. You always kind of wonder, like, are they really like that cool, like they are in the movies, like in real life? And some of them are, and some of them are not. So it's kind of like just 50-50 there.
Yeah.
So we did the acting. I know we did the bodybuilding photos. I know you won with the 2012 the California State Bodybuilding Championship. Other than that you won something else also, right?
The Tournament of Champions, and then the Junior Cal. So those three, and then I think I got second place in a few other shows. I did like for 7 years I competed. So but yeah, I will say, so the last one that I did, the Cal State, I won that one. I qualified for nationals on both of those because those were two main shows, the Tournament Champions, but I just never cared about going to nationals because it's like I always did it for the art. Like I love the competition is the ego part, and that's a thrill, but it's so much more a solitude type experience. And then it's a situation where, I can go up on stage and display my work that I've done. But I never cared about, now I got to go to nationals. And for one, it's just so expensive, just the amount of money and that goes into it. And I was still acting at the time. I mean, I did a lot of acting work. I mean, I still act now. I'm doing lots of things, but like I was acting and I had that look as a bodybuilder. So it was like different types of roles, but I had to put time into that too. And so I couldn't be like full-time driving, flying all over the country or whatever to go to these shows. And plus there's politics to me, it's so subjective, the competition compared to boxing, although there's gray area there, which is a whole other thing. But like the bodybuilding, it's so like, what's in this year? The big or the more ripped and small, implants, no implants. It's like, I don't want to get into that. That doesn't mean anything to me, I just want to have that look and be as ripped as I can and, do a good job on stage. And of course winning's nice, but know what I mean?
Of course, obviously winning is nice. That's like,
it's great.
Put the cherry on the top of it, but
that's it.
You know what? But it's if you leave the mark and everybody remembers you after, that's almost just as good.
That's it.
As,
it is.
You made your mark. You definitely made your mark there, and everybody remembers who you are. And that was, So, and the still shots, I mean, the posing and stuff that you've done is phenomenal. So, I mean, obviously you studied well, because I don't know. I have some serious dedication, but I don't know if I could do the whole, I don't know if I could get into that mindset of just dehydrating that much. Like,
that's,
I don't know. That's a whole nother being.
It is. It's
my husband now, he's really big into weights. So he could easily, he could easily be a bodybuilder, but I mean, luckily for me, he never went that route, but he could easily.
It's hard to live with. So
he could literally live in the gym like every day. For hours. I mean, that's just him.
God.
But I mean, I'm glad he didn't go down that path. But
competing,
it's very interesting to watch, and he
Yeah.
watches it sometimes, and some of the guys even
Mhm.
the girls obviously yes, but some of the guys I'm just like, how is that even possible to get that big? Like,
Yeah. You're definitely pushing the boundaries of what is even healthy for sure, and
yeah,
what your frame even wants to carry. And I love the mental stuff. It's like I
yeah,
love I mean, the whole dehydration thing. I will say a lot of people love to train, but they don't necessarily love to compete. Competing's love hate, because it's every time you're like, why do it's just like going on stage. And when I've done theater, anything
yeah,
live, like every time, why do I do this to myself? Why do I?
yeah.
And then you go on and you're like, okay. It's like I perform piano, I perform all these things, but there's always that moment of like, I just want to get it done. I just want to get, but
That's
like,
so funny.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you
I
love
did
hate
that
it.
before every fight. It's so
It's
funny.
an yeah.
Yeah, my
If you
husband,
didn't
he
care,
still to this day laughs at me because
yeah.
I did the exact same thing.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
the whole training camp would be perfect, like
yeah,
good to go, we're ready to go. I'm
yeah,
like all pump, pump, pump
yeah.
until like we're in the back waiting
Oh,
our turn
oh,
to be
oh,
called out.
yeah.
And then every single time I'm like, it's almost time, but like you've been just sitting there waiting, like, and you're just like trying to process it. Like I'm gonna
Yes.
go get punched in the face and
Oh,
like, so I'm like,
right.
you're trying to get yourself ready. And then
Yeah.
every single time I would look at him, I'm like, okay, babe, I'm ready to go home now. Like I'm good. We can go. And he would
Waiting is
laugh
awful.
at me so hard every single time. He's like, really? Really? I'm like, well, you knew I had to say it. Like it's tradition now. Like I've made it a tradition. And
It's
but
what you
as soon as
do.
once you do the ring walk and you get in the ring,
Yeah.
as soon as the bell rings, I'm literally perfectly fine. It's just the
Yeah.
waiting that you're like trying to
Yes.
process it all. And I'm like, I'm really gonna go out here and I could
Yeah.
get cut. I'm definitely probably gonna break my nose again. It's not
Right.
fun. Like so all that's running through your mind, and I'm just like, why? Like, why do I keep doing like I want to go. I'm ready to go. We can go now. Like, let's go. But
So
no,
funny.
I mean, it
Yeah.
was fine. And then the music starts, and then you
Yeah.
start walking out, and then you get in there, and then you're pumped up, and the bell rings, and it's perfectly fine. So I'm like, this is why I do it because I know once I get past this stupid part, we're good to go.
Yeah. That is
So
so
I don't know.
interesting. You're right. Waiting is hell.
Yeah.
I was in a play one time, and the director, who I won't name, was the worst as far as firing people, getting just like that, like nothing. I'll just say this, he made guys cry. That's all I'm
Oh,
gonna say.
nice.
Yeah, it was great. But I hung in there, and I killed it. And but he had me every night. He told me to come out, make my entrance singing a different song. So no, just surprise me. Like, which is just a horrible thing for so many reasons. Because, you know,
Surprise me.
surprise me, like, because my character was super like, well, yeah, at the time I was bodybuilding, so I looked way more like, imagine 20 more pounds and a lot thicker jaw. So
Yeah.
I was very masculine. So I actually was playing a drag queen character in prison.
Okay.
And so I
Okay.
was super flamboyant and loud. And so I just went with it and just did it. But it was the anticipation up to that moment was so bad. But I just channeled all that nervousness into the singing. Like, I don't care, when inside you're just like you
Yeah.
can't afford to care. You can't afford
No.
to be like, oh God, no. Like, no,
No.
I'm gonna do it and it's gonna be great. No one will know. It's
Yeah.
just mental switch.
Yeah, it's all mental.
Oh,
And it's funny because I've talked to so many different fighters and stuff, and they're all like, "Oh no, I don't have the nerves. Like I don't have that. I don't." Just be honest. Every single person feels that way at some point in time before a
that's
fight
so
or
right.
before a
Yeah,
competition or whatever it is you're doing. There's
yeah,
that moment of,
yeah,
oh shit,
yeah, yeah.
like it's
Oh yeah,
come. Like just be honest. That's
yeah.
what. So I don't know. I just hope
Oh yeah,
everybody that comes on my show is honest. Like you've been very honest, but like that's why I always
absolutely.
tell people before. I'm like, this it's the No Mercy show. Like
I
we're
love that.
talking the truth. Like don't tell me no fibs. Like the people need to know what really happened.
Yeah.
Like tell spill the tea we need to know. Everybody needs to know how
I
rough
love it.
women had it. Like,
Yeah.
so,
Oh yeah.
but
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's just funny that people
Yeah.
always tell me that. They're like, no, I don't have nerves. I don't get
That,
nervous. Like, I don't have none of that. Stop
yeah.
it. Just stop it. Because you do.
Yeah.
Stop doing
No.
that.
Even if you can channel it well, because I think I channeled it well. It, like I
Well,
said, I
yeah.
get really stoic, but man, if you don't have that adrenaline, what's going on? Like, do you not
Right. Then
understand?
something's wrong. If you don't feel some kind of nervousness,
Yeah.
something's
Like,
wrong there. Like,
yeah,
something's
this is
happening,
normal.
because
Yeah.
everybody should have some kind of nerves going on
Yeah.
in
It's cool.
some any kind of, this is a battle. Like, this
Yeah.
is
That's it.
anything you do. Like, come
Instinctual.
on now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Every time.
So you kind of briefly mentioned you definitely were a professional pianist and composer. You do that along with the acting too, right? And then
Yeah.
singing.
Right. Right. Yeah. I kind of most recently I produced several songs. I've been a composer since I was a kid. You know, I was trained in classical, and I always loved songwriting. But like in the last, I mean, I've written songs through the years and spoken word. I've done stuff like that. But I released, I think five songs, 4 music videos. I didn't make one video for one of them. I just didn't have the time at that point. But did the lyrics, the vocals, and it was actually they were more like 4 of them for sure were more rap than singing.
Okay.
I found I really loved rap. I always loved words. I love rhythm just from playing, and you know, it kind of when I discovered it, it's like I discovered Tom McDonald 2 years ago, and I'm just like, whoa, I love everything he's doing, and it just kind of blew my mind, because I hadn't listened to rap for a long time, but I'm just like, it's such a perfect vehicle for saying a lot of things in a shorter amount of time. Because I've written so many things and spoken word and combined piano with it and stuff, but it just kind of became just another vehicle for my expression and for saying things that need to be said, and
right,
you know, writing the music along with it, and shooting the videos once again on my loyal little
handy dandy little iPhone there.
Shot him.
That comes in handy. I mean, mine does some pretty decent photos, but I don't know if they're that good. I know you can enhance them though. I mean, you can still edit them. I know my husband's really good at editing photos on his phone. I'm not very good, but he is. He's done some cool editing stuff. So, I mean,
it's amazing what can be done.
Saves you money. That's for sure.
It totally does.
Yeah, definitely there. So I know we mentioned the writing. You said you're working on writing a book now?
Yeah, I'm writing my story now, because I've you know, we tried it several different ways. It was like, okay, it's going to be this movie, and that was great, but then, like I said, it got shelved, which happens all the time. I mean, I think what happened was the producer or the head of Paramount at the time, they told the writer, we wanted Flashdance and you gave us Rebel Without a Cause. It was something like that. And you know, the thing is, it happens all the time, and at the time was this disappointment. It would have been so great, but through the years we've stayed in touch, and we thought, well, you know, maybe we should do, like, maybe it should be something that's more like a series, or maybe it's this form or that form. But the thing is, I have to tell it myself, and I have to tell it in my own way. And there's a whole bunch of things that were going on behind the scenes that no one even knew about.
Right.
And so the sanitized.
And if you're going to do it, you got to do it right.
Going to do it right. Exactly. It's like, who cares? I don't want to tell a sanitized version. And that's what that would have been, because, you know, I was so young at the time too, like when they did that, which makes sense, you know. But now that I'm a hardened individual that's been living in Hollywood, you know, no one can hurt me
now. The raw truth, and people to really know what, like, everything that took place.
Yeah.
You know,
that's right.
Yeah, you don't want to sugarcoat it and make it like this fake story. You want it to be real.
That's right. That's it. And the whole landscape has changed, you know, and there's just so much to say. And the point is, and I'm writing several things, but my story will be one thing in itself, but it's like my perception of things has changed, and what I'm willing to share has changed. And the whole goal is to inspire, awaken, empower, and to give people permission to feel. That's like what to me a lot of art does. It like gives people permission to relate. Because I think people put people up on pedestals. It's like anytime someone's baffled that I had addictions, it's like, if you really understood the nature of human beings, you wouldn't be surprised at all, because I'm an extreme person. It's like the miracle is that I'm sober. That's amazing.
Right.
So
I mean, it's any addict or recovering addict or anybody that's become sober. I mean, I've not personally, but I know people that have. And it can take the smallest thing to relapse or go back to that. So to have the willpower and the strength to stay sober for that long and to continue that journey, I mean, unless they've really been there, don't fully understand or grasp it, I guess, or they don't take the time to really like read into it and learn to understand like that it's an illness and that it's not a choice and that it, all of this stuff. Like people don't choose this. Like it happens. Just
That's
like cancer or anything else. Like it's already in them. But to be able to overcome that and stay overcoming that, that's the hard part.
It is.
And that's what people don't understand.
That you're right. And I appreciate you saying that. And I will say, when people, it really has nothing to do with willpower. I kind of explain it this way, that like, willpower is something that helps you get started with something, right?
Right.
I don't feel like getting up and going to the gym today, but I'm going to get up and do it. Okay, here we go. I got this. That's a little push. But what keeps you going day after day, year after year after year is much greater than willpower, right? Like it's long enduring. It's a vision, it's goals, it's decisions day after day, it's habits. So there's similar traits with that with recovery, but I like to say addicts aren't weak people. They're actually really strong, and instead of not having willpower, they just don't have any won't power. It usually just goes in the wrong direction.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. For me, it's like, and because it's on multiple levels. It's physical and the way my body processes things. It's mental. It's spiritual. And I think just the right set of circumstances and traits make people predisposed to do it. But like, it's a spiritual malady. And the solution for me is spiritual, as far as a sustaining thing and continual self-development always. Yeah.
I totally agree. Well, I'm looking forward to the book.
Thank you.
So I'll definitely be watching for that to come out, because I always try to get my hands on all the good ones, like like I've got Ali's books that she's wrote. I just bought the Christy Martin book that she wrote at the inductions, actually. So when I met her at the induction, she was selling her books, so I bought one and had her sign it. So I mean, I always try to get myself on some real good reads on history and like people's journeys. So I'll definitely be looking for that one when it comes out.
Great.
I think the only other thing that I know for sure, do you still do personal training, or is that kind of like on the side burner now? Because I know you were doing personal training too.
I do. I coach, and I love working with people and inspiring and lifting up people. I've also gotten into creating courses. There's this amazing platform called Mastermind, and I've created about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I went almost 6. I went vegan, largely due to the sense of morality around the treatment of animals and what I know. I know things that can't be unseen, and I investigated it, and it's been great. My only regret is that I didn't do it sooner. But anyway, I created a course to help people and coach people with that too. And
Okay,
it takes
cool.
them step by step. So and I included a spiritual element of it, just because to me it is so spiritual, the whole connection with animals and connection, because it's life, it's
Yeah.
life. And so I call it simply vegan spiritual life. So it's to help
Okay.
mostly, I mean, it can be for anybody, but it's mostly for people of faith who are looking to
Yep.
go vegan, which
Okay.
sometimes seems like an unusual thing, but it's not. You have to forget negative vegan stereotypes.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I really haven't like studied it or anything, but I know that everybody has a reason, and I know that there is a path that that they've chose. And if I really looked into stuff, I'd probably second guess. I don't eat a lot of things that people eat.
Yeah.
I don't. There's a lot of things that I'm like, no, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
not even trying that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do still eat like your typical everyday things. Um, I try not to read into it, because then I would probably have the same thought process you did of, yeah, I don't want to eat that now. So I try not to like really dig into it too much. I don't know. I just try not to really think about it. That way I'm not like, ew, like what?
Well,
um,
it's I understand what you're saying, and conditioning is really powerful, and I would just say, don't be afraid to look into it. Don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to take off the blinders, because even though it's painful, it's better to know than not know.
right.
Because I can just say that once I learned things, and I made the decision, the relief that came with that, the relief from that cognitive dissonance, where
Right.
your mind is going in two ways. Like, I don't want to see that because I know I'm not going to like it. So I'm going
Right.
to keep, it's like, and don't take this as judgment, because I understand we're conditioned to think a certain way.
Right.
But it's like, all you have to do is look at other cultures where, say, a culture that eats dogs and cats. Most Americans are like, oh, no,
Ew. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're
No.
conditioned.
Right.
But what's the difference? We're just living things, living
Right.
beings, rather.
Right.
So it's, and I use that as an example just to kind of see how we're conditioned. So I just say to people, look, you'll never get condemnation from me, because that makes no sense and it's useless. And I'd be including myself in that. Just be willing to look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, like my brothers hunt and stuff. And yeah, I've always
Sure.
been real big on, I literally will only eat like your main things, like anything out of the ordinary. I don't like deer. Absolutely not. It makes me want to cry when I think about
Ugh.
Bambi. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, no, thank you. Like, that's all I
Yeah.
can think.
Yeah.
I can't even think of anything like people
Yeah.
eat goats and like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like weird stuff. And I'm just like, no, like
Yeah.
get that away from me. I'm not even putting that in my mouth.
I got you. Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, maybe I'll look into that and just kind of take a look at it. I try, now that I had my last son at 40, and I didn't get let's say it doesn't come off like it does when you're younger. So 2023, like I've definitely started my journey back to health this year. And I'm
Awesome.
working out daily, and like
Great.
I'm on the right path. So I've been eating
Cool.
healthier, and I eat lots of salads and vegetables and like all that stuff. So
Oh, nice.
we're kind of working on it. So
great.
trying to see how it pans out, but we'll see how
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah. Well, I'm always here for you if you have questions or want to bounce ideas off of me, or anything. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes,
100%.
I love that. I love that. I think I hit most of your like big things that people would know you for. Is there anything else that you want that I might have missed?
Let's see. Piano, acting, writing, boxing, bodybuilding. It's exhausting, the amount of things
I
I've done.
know. I mean, there's so much stuff. Everybody, you guys listen. This is like, she is like an all around, like all-star, I guess would be the way to put it, because she's got so many talents. It's like unreal.
It's a
The amount
strange
of things
thing.
that you can do.
It's a strange life. Yeah, no, I appreciate you.
Yeah,
I'm grateful to share things. To me, the whole purpose of anything, because I always like to think from the end, not to be morbid, but I think from the end, like, what at the end, what would I have wished I shared or wished I did that I didn't
right,
do? That list needs to be empty for me.
right,
It's
right.
like,
Like
didn't
your
leave
bucket
anything.
list, basically your bucket list that you've done everything you wanted to accomplish.
Right, right. And you know what? I love that. And I've heard something I even like even more than the bucket list, which is it's a list of what did you do for others? You know?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
It's not just me and experiencing things, but yeah, it's a bucket list for service. Like I
exactly.
gave everything and I'll be remembered for that. And that's what I want.
Yes,
You know,
you gave 100% in
yeah,
everything that you did, and
yeah, yeah.
we can mark that off the list.
That's it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I want all
We
my
have Cedric Sports Training coming in saying much respect to both of you.
oh, God bless you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Cedric.
Cedric, so much. We
So
appreciate
sweet.
you
Thank
being here
you.
and joining us, and thank you for commenting. If you have any
Absolutely.
questions, let me know. So I guess looking back on I mean, I know you still have so much stuff you're going to accomplish
Yeah,
later, but
so
looking back
much.
on everything you've done so far, what would be like your most amazing, meaningful thing that you've accomplished so far? What's your favorite thing that you stand for?
Ooh, gosh. My
And I
favorite
know there's
thing,
so many, but if you can
yeah,
pinpoint it to that one thing
that I've experienced or
that you've accomplished so far, what are you most proud of, and
okay.
why, of all of your
Okay.
accomplishments so
Yeah.
far?
I guess really it would have to be being able to forgive myself.
I like that. That's a very hard thing to do.
It is. I just finally
That
did
takes
like
a
last
lot.
week,
Just last week, I mean, or
just
maybe
last week.
yesterday.
Yeah. I've been
I
working on
mean,
it for years, but
yeah,
no, seriously though, yeah, it's still a process. There's still times where the mind goes, yeah, but look at that, and tries to
right.
pull you down. But I
Yeah.
think learning about that and learning to have mental discipline and going,
Hmm.
nope, I repented, I forgive myself,
Yep.
I receive that. If I need to ask again for, I will do that. And because if I don't do that, I'm useless. And then,
Exactly.
yeah, and then all of the things that I've overcome, gratefully, not proudly, but gratefully, are no good to anybody else. So it's
Right.
like for me to be the most useful person, most useful instrument in this world, I have to be free from self-condemnation. And I
Yeah.
struggled with that forever.
Yeah.
Self-hatred. Because being so perfectionistic, it's a terrible thing,
Yeah. Low self-esteem and yeah,
Yeah.
self-hate, and
Never good
that's
enough.
all of that stuff.
All of it. Yeah.
It's very easy to accept someone else's, you know, them forgiving you, but then you're looking, yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get it, because looking
Yeah.
back at yourself, you're like, yeah, but I didn't deserve that.
Oh,
I don't deserve their
yeah.
respect. Or yeah, it's very, very hard to tell yourself, you know what, we're good,
Yeah.
it's okay, it's okay. Yeah,
That's it.
I
Yeah.
love that. That's a good one, because
Yeah.
that's always been a hard question for me to answer when people ask, because you look back at there's
Hard.
so many
Yeah.
scenarios, and that's a very good one. So I really like that one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Um, so the last thing, everybody, that I really want to bring up is some exciting news that I don't know if everybody else knows about, but this is about to be my sister in the Hall of Fame,
Yes.
because everybody on here hopefully knows that I was inducted into the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame last year.
Mm-hmm.
But our girl Dallas Malloy was inducted into the Hall of Fame for 2023. It's
So,
coming up in October.
so excited.
So she's about to be put in the Hall of Fame, y'all. So I am super excited, super, super excited for you. Because I
Thank you.
personally know how it was, how
Yeah.
exciting that is. I'm literally still trying to process the event. It still has not sunk in.
Oh
Um,
man, that's so cool.
so yeah, it's surreal still. I'm
Oh,
still trying to process. But I want to know how it was for you when you got that phone call.
Oh man, that was so beautiful because I've been friends on Facebook and kind of known about Sue Fox for a long time, and
Yep.
we've chatted a couple
Gotta love
times.
Sue.
Yeah. Oh, I know she's great, and it's just so gratifying. It's just such a feeling of like satisfaction because, like we said at the very beginning, you go through, you get so much criticism and hate in the beginning, and then people come around, they're like, yay, we love what you did the whole time. And I think, yeah, you didn't the whole time, but I'm glad you came around. But then later on, to get this
Exactly.
respect, it means a lot. Yeah, no, it's because it was a lot of hard work, and I think I sometimes didn't even think about that because I was just so focused on what I'm doing. I'm like, yeah, you know what, that's great, that's a sense of completion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I did that. Like,
Yeah, that's right.
I did that.
That's right.
Yeah, because I can still remember my phone call. So I had to see.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's reactions are so different, but I
Yeah.
always ask everybody at the inductions, like, what was your reaction when you got the call? Because like I know I was in shock, I think.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
a big deal. It takes a while to sink in too, I think. I was like, this is a big
you're
deal.
probably still trying to digest
I
the
think I
phone
am.
call.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
still trying to digest the whole process, and it's already happened for me.
You're right. You're
So,
like, maybe by this October, maybe you'll have it fully processed.
yeah, maybe by this year,
Yeah.
maybe by this year's inductions, I'll be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm in there. That was me. I did that. I did that shit over there. But right now, like, yeah, I'm still trying to process the whole event, like the whole night. Like, it went by so fast. Like, I was just like,
man,
what just happened? So yeah, I'm super super excited for you.
Thank you.
Congrats. Like, you definitely deserve it.
I'm thrilled.
And yeah, I'm super excited for everybody that's getting inducted. I always am, like every year, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Now it's I know the feeling, so like I understand how everybody feels. So I'm like so super excited for everybody.
I'm super honored. Very honored. Yeah.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
Well, you've already kind of said like what it means to you, and so we've kind of gone over all of that. Is there anything that you want to say to all the viewers, or anything that we've missed, or a message that you would like to give anybody before we wrap up things in a minute here?
First of all, thank you, Brooke. You're great. You're amazing. I love your questions. Very thought provoking and sincere and authentic and a badass.
Thank you.
Yes. Right, 100%. Obviously, I just say thank you to people for listening, and also, I think these times right now being what they are, and being difficult and struggling to different degrees, I just want to give people encouragement, because I have been through hell and back, and it's not been pretty at all, And I think sometimes we look at people, and when we're inside here, we're the only one, and people look at pictures on social media and they think, oh, this person looks accomplished, and they take good photos. It's like, you don't know what that person's thinking.
Yeah, you don't know what it looks like behind the scenes.
No. Yeah. It's behind blue eyes, baby. Yeah. No, there's been a lot of dangerous stuff here, and so my solution is spiritual,
Yeah.
And that saved me, getting sober and finding a God of my understanding and developing that's been everything to me. And that's a discipline, and it's not easy, but it's like, I just want to give people hope and encouragement. Because I was very narrow-minded
from the bottom, and you can overcome it. Like, you can overcome it.
You absolutely can. I heard this a long time ago, how God can make beauty for ashes, and he can take the worst thing, the worst, most ugly thing that you've been through, and craft it into something beautiful for someone else that we can't imagine. Right. But it takes our willingness and patience sometimes, because the world's very distracting with its shiny objects and promises that
Yes.
always amount to nothing. So
Yes.
you have to go in and go deep. And, it's been said there's no atheists in foxholes. And I think that's damn true.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that I got to the point where I was in such fire. My back was against the wall, so I had to, never mind the mixed metaphors, but I got to the point where I'm like, I don't care anymore. I just, God, please help me if you exist.
Yeah.
Please. And that sort of internal surrendering that occurs when you're in that mental state, I don't think you can force that. But if you sincerely go there, not that it has to get that bad, it's all relative to a person's perception. But I think that too becomes a habit of asking for help, asking, listening, and receiving it becomes a habit and a practice that I certainly wasn't taught. So I had to learn and have patience with that and understand that things don't necessarily work the way I think they should. So it's going to be different. And I have to be open to that. But the point is absolute peace of mind, in that
Yes.
relationship and that understanding. And it saves me again and again. And I used to hear that when I was a kid, and I'd be like, that's stupid, or like, I just didn't get it,
Right.
But there's a point where when you're like, death, it gets ugly. But I think in those cruel moments, that's the time where the spark of inspiration can sometimes enter in, that we actually receive it here,
Yes. Yeah.
So I would just say, please be encouraged, because people right now are thinking about suicide. People right now are thinking about ending it all, or, doing something else to someone else or whatever. And it's just like, you have to be encouraged. There is hope.
Yes.
And there's always someone else that has a story to share, and I'm not going to say there's always someone worse off than you. No one wants to hear that. When you feel like hell, that's all you can feel. I get that. Been there 1,000 times. But what is true is that you're not alone in it.
Right.
There is a
you
source.
Just have to allow other people in.
That's right. That's right.
You have to, allow others in to confide in and look for that advice, or just that one piece of words that will really hit you and stick with you. I think I know a lot of people that suffer with mental illness and depression and
absolutely
suicidal thoughts and all that stuff. And the one biggest thing for most of them is just everybody, if you know anybody like this, is just one, reaching out over and over, letting them know that you're there for them anytime, day or night. Check in on them, like show them little things that you really, really care, because to them, even though you're showing them, they're not accepting it.
Right.
Like they're not accepting your help because they don't feel like they deserve it at the time. So you have to go above and beyond to really let them understand how much you care and how much you want to help.
That's right.
And until they'll let you in. And once they let you in, then you can start the road to recovery and overcoming it and getting the proper help, I think. Just from people that I've experienced it with.
And there is a lot of help available. I think the ultimate help is with a capital H, and I think it does need to come. You need to be a seeker, but it comes through people too. It comes through people too. Like I think all of the above is correct. I heard once that people wouldn't commit suicide if they never stopped reaching out. If they never stopped reaching out, people stop reaching out, because the head tells you they don't want to hear you.
Yeah, they're busy, or they don't have time, or I don't want to bother them. Like I don't want to be a burden. That's always the thoughts, but that's not true. Like people will love to be able to help. And that's what family and friends are for.
That's right. And if they're not there for you, there's someone else that's there for you. And the thing is, helping others gets you out of yourself. So it's like you're doing them a favor,
Yes.
But I think, the times when you can't get anybody, that's when it's like you have to be willing to hit your knees and ask for help.
Yes.
And just trust that, it's people who don't think prayer works just haven't done it enough.
Yes.
And that's the truth, but sometimes it doesn't come in the way we want. So we have to be
no, it does not. But you have to be open to that too.
That's right.
You have to,
you
you
might
have to
want
be
to,
open to it.
you
got to be open to whatever door opens. You have to be
Yeah.
able to accept whatever's coming your way, and
that's it.
you
I
will
might pray.
come out.
I might pray for this help from over here, and then I get someone over here asking me to help them. And I'm like, I don't want to help them. I need help. It's like, no, that was the answer. It's going to help you.
The answer was,
that's right.
You help, and then in the end, it'll be you helping them and them helping you. You're helping each other.
That's right.
Yeah. Just remember, anybody, if you're having these kind of thoughts or going through those things, there is always somebody there, whether it's family, 100%. Friends, or calling the helpline or whatever the case may be. Yes. There's always someone. So don't give up. That's really what I got to say there. And I agree with everything that you said. My Angie Passmore, what's up, Angie? Angie is a amateur boxer that I met at the inductions. She was there helping Sue out. She's going to be there next year too, so you'll get to meet Angie. She says, great interview and much respect to both of you for paving the way for women. Thank you, Brooke, for these interviews. I'm learning so much from them. And then she says, thank you, Angie. I appreciate you. Dallas, your story is so powerful and inspiring. Thank you for the transparency. I appreciate you so much.
Oh, thank you, Angie. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, Angie's a sweetheart. Very a sweetheart. Awesome. I hope you're learning some stuff, Angie. We're gonna keep them coming. We'll get some more in here. We're trying to get all of you guys to learn the history here. So that's the goal of the show.
Yay.
I want to just say that I honestly, truly feel like you're such an amazing, well-rounded, phenomenal woman. I'm honored to have spoken with you today. I'm so grateful you came on the show. I will be at the inductions not next year now that it's 2023. I will be at the inductions this year. Sue has asked me to come back as a special guest since it's the 10-year anniversary. So it's going to be huge, like way bigger than, like, there's so much stuff that's going to happen this year. They're doing 2 nights instead of 1.
Yeah.
With the meet and greets and all that. And
oh man,
it's going to be really awesome because there's going to be more time to actually spend with everybody. So I'm super excited because my night went by so fast. Like, I got to take photos with everybody, but that was like pretty much the extent of it. Like, there was no time to talk to people. So I'm so excited to have been invited back next year.
Oh man,
this year. I keep saying next year. This year with the double nights with that and to meet all the new amazing women coming in and all the ones coming back for the anniversary. It's going to be huge. Definitely going to be huge. So everybody out there, tickets are on sale, I believe, already on WBAN.com. WBAN. If you follow boxing, you know the site, you know Sue. Go get your tickets.
Nice.
So I appreciate you coming on, girl. You can message me when we get off here. I can send you my number or whatever. We can exchange numbers. We don't have to message through the app or through the social media. And I, again, thank you for coming on the show, and I will see you in a few months.
Excellent. Can't wait. Thank you so much.
I can't wait. You're amazing, thank you so much. You're Stay amazing. Blessed, and I'm looking forward to what you got coming out.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, Eric. Yes, I'm going to have Eric pull you back while I do the closing. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Cedric Sports Training. Thank you, Angie, for tuning in. For all of my listeners all around the world, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I had a great time. I hope you guys all had a great time and you learned something about Dallas Malloy. What a great, phenomenal, well-rounded, talented woman in so many things. And her messages were just spot on tonight. I would like to ask everybody that is watching, please like, subscribe, and share the post. Spread the word. Let's get let's get some more people in here week to week to week. Let's grow that audience, spread the word out. We got some good people coming on for future episodes. So stay tuned for the news for next week's show. There is also now a donate button down below. If you guys feel generous and you want to send a donation in, I'd appreciate it, but not required. But definitely make sure that you follow me on all my other social media platforms as well to keep up with what's going on. There is the Brooke No Mercy Dierdorff/Millbrook page, which is my boxing page, as well as my own separate podcast page. Of course, you know the name, No Punches Pulled with No Mercy, on all my social media platforms. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in with me tonight. I will see you all again, same time, same place, next Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time with the next special guest. Stay tuned. I will update you on that soon. Until then, remember, punch hard because nothing else matters. Bye.